Study shows when it comes to keeping off extra pounds, the number of calories you eat might not be the only factor to consider about your foods. Researchers found that people eating the same number of calories but processed foods instead of unprocessed foods were putting on significantly more weight. And for more on this, we're joined by CTV science and tech specialist Dan Riskin. So there are good calories and bad calories?
Yeah, it's looking a little bit like this. I mean, you've heard processed foods are bad for you, right? And it's sort of not clear always what that means. But this study, I think, drove it home for me in a way that I hadn't understood before. Same number of calories, same amount of protein, same amount of fat, same amount of carbohydrate in these two different meals that are taken at different times, but in the same people. And when people are eating the processed food version of that, they gain about 2.2 pounds more than they do when they're eating unprocessed foods, even though it's the same number of calories. And the mechanism seems to be that it messes with people's hormones. The processed foods seem to have some toxins in them that make it so your body's hormones don't exactly know what to do with the food, and so they don't put it away properly, and they end up storing it as fat when otherwise it would be burned.
Wow, so something about the way your body actually breaks it down.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the breakdown. So the calories are being used differently by your body. And so if you're somebody that's, I guess all of us are always trying to make sure we don't gain too much weight, but this is really helpful. It's another incentive to stay away from the processed foods and go for the healthy fruits and veg and fish and eggs and stuff like that.
Well, from something that will... From food to something that'll make you want to eat a lot of food, cannabis. And there's a new review that says that stronger weed might actually carry stronger risks. Help us understand this.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's been a lot of really great science that shows that, that marijuana and THC and cannabis can actually be helpful when it comes to a lot of problems people have, like insomnia or chronic pain. But those studies usually involve small doses, and a lot of people tend, when they're buying it recreationally, to buy the really strong stuff. And this is a study that tries to reconcile whether the risks are the same. And what they find is that it actually paints a pretty different picture. When people are taking the stronger stuff, there are more incidences of psychosis, schizophrenia, and addiction than there are when you see people taking the smaller doses. So if you see something in the news that's saying, oh, this has been found to be helpful for people that are having insomnia, just keep in mind that's a low dose in all likelihood, not the really strong stuff. And if you're buying stuff yourself, look for the smaller dose. That might be the safer way to go.
Very good to know.
All right, finally, mystery solved. Apparently, we learned more about ballistic tongues.
Ballistic tongues.
Yeah, what is this about?
What's a ballistic
this is so... So a ballistic tongue is some of those animals, like chameleons, that can shoot their tongue out like a bow and arrow. The question is, how do you do that with a muscle? How do you throw with a muscle? Muscle can only contract, but these things are firing their tongues, and the accelerations of these tongues, like when you talk about a spaceship, people talk about going like 6 Gs, 7 Gs, a race car's 10 Gs. These are over 500 Gs. And it turns out the mechanism is that there's a stick inside the tongue that's being squeezed by a muscle. And you know when you squeeze a bar of soap and it goes shooting out of your hands?
Right.
That's how the tongue works. It squeezes, the muscles around the tongue squeeze this stick that's inside it, and it goes flying out.
Thank goodness
Mystery
we know.
solved,
Yeah, this is going to change everything.
You guys joke, but this is really cool. And those accelerations are the highest in any vertebrate. So it's pretty exciting science. I really like this study.
CTV science and tech specialist Dan Riskin. It's always a slice. Have a great week.
Thank you.